Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to this special press briefing on the working visit of the acting president of Venezuela. And for this briefing, we have with us Secretary East, Shri Rudren Tandon with us. Even as I welcome you to this special press briefing, let me also welcome Secretary East because it happens to be his maiden briefing as Secretary in his new position. So welcome, sir. With that, I hand over the floor to Secretary East for his initial remarks on the ongoing visit of the acting president. Over to you.
Thank you very much. I won't go into the details of the program, which you already have in your press dockets sent out earlier. So, but let me just tell you a brief overview of the visit. So President Delcy Rodríguez of Venezuela paid a working visit to India from 3 to 6 June. She was accompanied by a very large ministerial delegation that included ministers of foreign affairs, communication and information, economy and finance, science and technology, and the Minister of Transportation. Today morning, in the latter part of the morning, she met Prime Minister Modi for official talks, which went over a working lunch as well. Earlier in the morning, External Affairs Minister, Dr. Jaishankar, called on her, and later in the day, as we speak today, just now, the Minister of Petroleum will be calling on her. As you are aware, Venezuela possesses one of the largest oil reserves in the world. The Indian economy is a large and growing consumer of oil and will have a stable demand growth for many years to come. Thus, in the energy sector, we see a perfect complementarity. In fact, in our spot purchases, Venezuela has already emerged as the third largest supplier this month. So quite naturally, today's discussions focused on forging an energy partnership. While not going into details of the conversation, what did emerge from the interaction of the two leaders was that Venezuelan energy sector is undergoing a fundamental transformation. They see India as a stable demander for many years to come. And therefore, there exists a perfect complementarity for India and Venezuela to work in the energy sector, both upstream as well as downstream. But having said that, the discussions also went into broadening the economic partnership to other areas. Venezuela is a very large country, which is resource rich, has talented, hardworking people that is now showing the first signs to moving to a path of sustained growth. So there are huge opportunities, not just in the energy sector, but also in areas like mining, in areas like animal husbandry, transportation, agriculture equipment, automotive sector, and pharmaceuticals. These two were discussed, and the whole idea was to try and work out ways in which Indian commercial entities can enter the Venezuelan market successfully, and a new partnership in these areas can be forged. Overall, I would say that the conversation was very businesslike, very substantive. There was genuine warmth between the two delegations, and an acknowledgement by the Venezuelan side that India has stood with Venezuela in bad times as well as in good times. It's a long relationship, and we are a preferred partner for them going into the future. Thank you very much.
So with that, we open the floor for questions. We start with Huma.
I'm Huma Siddiqui from the Stat News Global. I have two questions. When Indian companies will buy, you talked about energy security. That was one of the focal points in the talks. So we'll be paying money to the US Treasury or to the Venezuelan government. That is one. And what? And you talked about the pharma sector. So there were a lot of pharma companies before the sanctions were imposed by the US, and there are the Venezuelan government owes almost around 800 or 900 million dollars to the pharma companies. Was that also discussed?
Mhm. We can take a couple of questions together. Siddhant.
Hi, sir. I'm Siddhant from Vion. Are we looking during this visit any big ticket announcements in terms of energy partnership? Is the visiting interim president meeting the oil marketing companies as well?
Keshav.
Thank you. Keshav Padmanabhan from the Print. Secretary, my first question is this ONGC Videsh, which had large investments in Venezuela, is owed about little more than $500 million in dividends. It's a public sector undertaking, right? So I just wanted to check whether this came up in discussions, whether there are any details on how this is going to be repaid. And on this burgeoning energy partnership, because India and Venezuela had one before the sanctions came into place, and because of what happened in January, the US has given sanctions relief at this moment in time. So were there any discussions on some sort of guarantee that Indian businesses who would want to invest in Venezuela going forward would not have to face the sort of sanction situation that you had between 2018 and 2026, so that people make the business decisions required for this partnership? Thank you.
Okay. So let's take these questions, sir.
So insofar as the payment issue is concerned, so Venezuela is undergoing a transition period. There are arrangements in place. But the important thing to remember is when we speak about building an economic partnership, the actual work will be done by commercial entities, both in the public sector as well as in the private sector of India. All these companies are companies that operate at the global level in global markets. So they will have to take into account the existing payment methods that are going to be adopted when you do economic activity in Venezuela. Insofar as big ticket items, no, there won't be any big ticket announcements for this visit, but certainly the president is being exposed to the sophistication that we have acquired in the energy industry, whether it is upstream as well as downstream. So there is a visit planned, but she will also be seeing other sectors. So visiting facilities is going to be an integral part of this visit, so that she can get a first-hand view of the potential that exists on the Indian side. Insofar as the dividend issue is concerned, yes, it did come up several times. This is very much part of the discussions we are having with Venezuela. Naturally, we do understand it is our money. It's a public sector company's money, but it is an issue that is there on the table, and they are very well sensitive to this issue.
Pharma. Huma's question. Can you repeat your question again?
So you mentioned pharmaceuticals also was discussed, but before the sanctions were imposed, a lot of Indian pharma companies were already providing everything to Venezuela, but there was some money which is still pending on that side, almost $700 to $800 million. Was that also discussed? And if the pharma companies are going back there to invest?
So, in fact, pharmaceuticals was discussed in quite a lot of detail, particularly the ability of Indian manufacturers to provide high quality generic drugs at low cost to their public health services, which is a very important part. In fact, this was listed by the Venezuelan delegation as one of the priority areas, so much so that we also, the Prime Minister actually directed that that one of her ministers who's accompanying her should be exposed to our entire Jan Aushadhi scheme. Insofar as spending monies because of the past, as I said before, Venezuela is in transition. Its government is aware of all these issues. We have sensitized them to these issues, and it's very much part of the discussions we are having with them going forward when we build our partnership.
So we'll take two questions at a time. Ayushi.
So this is Ayushi Agarwal from ANI. I have two questions. How much were the issues of critical minerals and strategic resources discussed during the meeting? And Venezuela in the past has repeatedly expressed interest in joining the BRICS. Since India is the chair for this year's BRICS, did that come up during the discussion?
Okay, we'll take one more question. Neeraj.
सर नीरज न्यूज 18 इंडिया से इसके बाद वेनेजुएला की कार्यवाहक राष्ट्रपति हैं उनका कार्यक्रम क्या है और आज जो बातचीत हुई है उसमें दोनों देशों के बीच कुछ समझौते भी हुए हैं
Okay, so we can take these questions.
So critical minerals were certainly discussed. The entire mining sector was discussed. As I said in my opening statement, Venezuela is a resource-rich country. It's not just critical minerals, it's also gold, diamonds, and other material. So mining is very much there. In fact, there was a discussion on how to assess the potential reserves that they have, whether we could cooperate in that area. And that is very much part of the follow-up activities we will be undertaking following the visit. On BRICS, BRICS did come up, but if I recollect correctly in the conversation, it was more to complement India and the Prime Minister for his chairmanship of BRICS, and the fact that it is a unique body of countries' membership, and that has stood its ground. So actually, it wasn't so much them joining BRICS as much as our chairmanship of BRICS and complementary statements about how we've been chairing the BRICS.
प्रोग्राम के बारे में आपको तो पता ही है पहले से.
प्रोग्राम के बारे में आपको बताया है. आगे जाके आई थिंक उनका एक विजिट है गुजरात में. उनका एक विजिट है एक फार्मास्यूटिकल कंपनी का जो दिल्ली में है, वो शायद आज हो रहा है. उनका एक विजिट है एक एक्सपीरियंस सेंटर ऑटोमोटिव सेक्टर में टाटास के यहाँ. कई मतलब जैसे मैंने आपको कहा था अंग्रेजी में कि उनको पूरा एक्सपोजर दिया जा रहा है on the sophistication achieved by Indian industry and the potential that exists, because as I said, Venezuela is undergoing fundamental transformation and they look to India as a preferred partner. And naturally, that is a great opportunity for our commercial entities. हमारे commercial entities के लिए बड़ा opportunity है.
Akhilesh, please don't repeat your questions, huh?
Sir, I'm Akhilesh Suman from DD News. Actually, what we were hearing that Venezuela's oil sector infrastructure is in tatters. So when Prime Minister talked to the acting president, did this issue come into picture that whether we can also be helpful in rebuilding the infrastructure of oil sector? Will we say, establish refineries there, or we will refine the products here in India?
Kadambini.
Kadambini Sharma, independent journalist. Sir, prior to 2019, Venezuela used to be one of the top 5 exporters for crude oil to India. But now that the alignment of petroleum industry there is completely aligned with US, would there be any sort of discounts as far as oil is concerned, given India is now again buying massive amounts of crude oil from Venezuela again? Thank you.
So coming back to the question from Suman, the discussion on the energy sector were extensive. The talk of partnership was not just buyer seller, it was participation of Indian companies upstream and downstream in all its aspects. Of course, the details of this cannot be worked out at Prime Minister level. This will have to be taken up by the companies themselves. But the message that came across very clearly from the Venezuelan side is that that they are open for business, their industry, they're reforming their industry. So there are great opportunities for India. And our response to that was that we are willing, our companies are willing, and we will take steps to facilitate that as a government. But ultimately, it is a commercial decision that Indian companies in the energy sector will have to take. On the discounts and US, I don't quite understand the question, but the fact is that there is the payments will be done in the way that the companies want. And the fact is that today, as of now, in spot buying, Venezuela has emerged as the third or the fourth largest source of supply. The government of India, as you know, because of the developments in the Middle East, is aggressively seeking out new sources of crude oil and energy to ensure India's energy security. So Venezuela is an opportunity, and it is very much part of our plan.
Okay. Archis?
Sir, Rodríguez from Business Standard. Were there any discussions on local currency settlement? And since we are planning to buy a lot of Venezuelan hard oil, do we have the capacity to refine it, or would we need to bolster it? Similarly, shipping, would we need to kind of deploy more large vessels?
Srinjoy? Oh, okay.
So insofar as hard oil and as I said, the Indian refining industry has become so sophisticated that no longer are our refineries bound to a particular type of crude oil. In practice, actually, we can buy oil from all over the world and put it in and earn a profit. So we don't have a problem on that at all.
So, first, is she going to Jamnagar? And after that, is there a pit stop at the Sai Baba Ashram? And if she's going to Bombay, what is she planning to do there?
So I will not comment on her private, on the private part of the program, but yes, she is being exposed to several facilities to show the sophistication that we have achieved in these areas. And certainly in the refining sector, the idea is to take her to one of the foremost refining possibilities that are there. That also answers the question about crude oil and the nature of crude oil. It is because of the sophistication that we have achieved in the refining industry that it is now possible for us to buy crude oil from Venezuela and make a good make it as a secure supply. But on the private part of the program, I don't think, because these are, private, but as coming from a family, it's good that if she does go there, it's very good.
This is Yeshi Seli from Business India. I have two questions. One is, what is America's involvement in India's buying crude from Venezuela? Also, Venezuela has heavy crude like Russia. So how much of, and they are offering discounts because logistically Venezuela is further away. So are we going to shift from the crude that we are buying from Russia and encourage more and more crude coming in from Venezuela? And this is primarily going to the Jamnagar refinery in Reliance, if I understand.
Please desist from asking repeated questions. Please don't repeat your questions so that others also get a chance.
That's a naughty question. No, so government of India will buy oil from wherever. The problems in the Middle East have, I think, led all governments, including India, to aggressively seek to diversify their sources. So we will do that. We are a large customer of crude oil. We are growing, so we are going to be a stable consumer of oil. So producers also around the world look at us as a useful relationship to have because it will inure them from spikes in the energy market as sellers. So we will go where there is oil at a good price. But actually, that's not part of the visit.
Excuse me. Question there. You had a question? Yes.
Hello, this is Lucia Goñi. I am from Spanish news agency EFE. I wanted to ask you if after the meeting between Prime Minister Modi and acting President Delcy Rodríguez, is there any new understanding or agreement, formal agreement in the energy sector that you can share with us? Thank you.
You take one or two all related questions. Reza.
Secretary Reza from the Hindustan Times. I just wanted to ask whether there were any discussions at all on the political transition in Venezuela earlier this year, and if yes, what was our stand on that? Thank you.
Kalol.
Sir Kalol Bhattacharjee from The Hindu. Again, on the political aspect, did she give an update about the situation in Venezuela right now? And did the abduction of Nicolas Maduro feature in the talks?
Similar question? Okay. 1 and 2.
सर मैं संजीव त्रिवेदी हूँ न्यूज़ 24 से और जैसा कि आप बता रहे हैं स्ट्रेटेजिक ऑयल पार्टनर के तौर पर इमर्ज वेनेजुएला करेगा आने वाले दिनों में। भारत में सर कंसर्न ये है कि हमारा इंपोर्ट 88 to 90% होता है हमारी एनर्जी नीड्स, तो ऐसे में क्या हम ये कह सकते हैं कि जो वेनेजुएला से ऑयल हमें मिलेगा वो सस्ता होगा और हमारी जो ऑयल इंपोर्ट बिल है वेनेजुएला के साथ संबंधों के बाद और ज्यादा कम आएगी, ये एक आश्वासन है जो कि आज की बैठक के बाद हमें मिल सकता है?
नमस्कार, मैं सर्जना शर्मा हूँ सनमार्ग से। वेनेजुएला में जिस तरह की राजनीतिक परिस्थितियां हैं और जिस तरह कार्यवाहक राष्ट्रपति है, हमसे जो भी डील होगी उनकी या समझौता होगा, तो क्या इसमें ये सुनिश्चित करेंगे कि अमेरिका का उस पर दबाव नहीं होगा जिस तरह के टैरिफ लगाने की अमेरिका कोशिश कर रहा है? तो क्या स्वतंत्र निर्णय लेने में कामयाब होंगे वो लोग हमारे साथ?
Okay. Sir, I think we can answer these questions. Yes.
On the to answer the question about whether there were any agreements on energy during the conversation, no, naturally not, because at this level usually these are not agreements. But the clear message from Her Excellency President Rodríguez was that Venezuela looks at India as a preferred partner, given the size of our economy, the fact that we are growing, the fact that we are going to be a stable buyer in the energy markets for many years to come. And the response of the Prime Minister was that we look forward to building this energy relationship, and that this energy relationship will cover both upstream as well as downstream activities. But there were no specific, agreements, which is quite natural for it. Coming to the political transition, of course, this was a very frank conversation that the two leaders had, both during when all of us were there, as well as on the table when they were having their working lunch. But I don't think that I should, get into those sort of things. We all know that there was a transition in Venezuela, but we are working with a government that is friendly, that wants a partnership with India. We want to reciprocate that. And don't forget that Venezuela has been traditionally a very close friend with us, both bilaterally. We have done a lot of partnerships, and as well as at the international level, we have collaborated very closely. So that is, we are just going back to normal. Insofar as the question of discounted oil hai, देखिए, as a big country, जो हमारा उद्देश्य है वो है to diversify sources of energy from as many sources as possible. We are going to be a very stable buyer for many, many years to come. Sellers of oil recognize that, because when they enter into contracts with India, they know that irrespective of what is happening in the international market, there will be a stable buyer. So it is in their interest to enter into long-term contracts rather than to do spot buying. So we hope that at some stage we move forward to long-term secure supplies from all our suppliers. Okay.
With that, I think you've covered it all. So with that, we come to the close of this press briefing. Thank you very much.